We're going to be talking today about practicing higher consciousness. Woo! So I just had a miracle happen yesterday. If maybe you saw on my Instagram, and I am truly reveling in the energy that is happening now. And I see my practice come to fruition. I see how my practice has elevated myself as a divine human into a space that has protection and has magic. Not to say that that's how it's always going to be, but it definitely happened yesterday, and I'm just feeling so alive and so excited to be here and talk about this. So I just think it's when you see your practice come to fruition, it makes the practice easier, right? So that's how I've been working with my clients for 2 decades. Is I used to go small with them. I would say, let's just try, 5 or 10 minutes a week. Just add it in because we were so strapped for time. We were so in constant go mode and stress mode that if I could get them to feel the shift, the positive shift or change in their spirit, in their being, in their pain, then it would make a switch in their subconscious mind where they would actually want to do the practice, because the practice is what helped them feel less pain. And so that's what I've been working on for 2 decades. But I'm going to be honest with you, and I feel like it's not time to go small anymore. It's time to go big. And it's time to talk about how do we do this practice no matter what, right? Because we need to be doing higher consciousness practices right now like it's our job, because it is our job. Because when we come into our soul's purpose and our soul's calling, we follow our purpose here on earth at this time for the greater collective. And then guess what? It's not like a job anymore because it's joyful and it's exciting, and you are sharing your passion and your purpose. And then we're going to bring the money in. So it's a cyclical event, right? So the more that we actually practice getting into this higher consciousness, the more that we emanate joy from our souls, the more anything that we do in our life creates a higher consciousness. So it's constantly going. Okay, so that's my exciting opening to that. And so what I really do want to talk about is how do we get into the habit, the positive habit of creating a practice in higher consciousness. Now, I do want to differentiate the fact that we're not trying to be in the highest state of consciousness 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Because what we're actually doing is we're activating our higher consciousness, which is our divinity, and we're learning how to integrate that with our human body, right? So it's the integration of the 3D and the 5D, if you've heard of that. When we integrate them together, we're always going to be in this human experience while we're in these human bodies. So we're always going to go through the shadow, the light, the dark, the heavy, the emotions. We have emotions for a reason. And so we have to be able to integrate that higher consciousness with our reality of our human experience. So that's what I really want to get into today. The first thing that I want to talk about, though, are what are your tools? That's what we need to, we need to have a toolbox, right? So when you have a toolbox of tools, you can open that up at any time. And it's most important to open it up when we're in the dark or the shadow, or when we're stuck and blocked, because that's how we learn what works to help move us through that energy, right? So the tools that I want to talk about, I'm going to talk a little bit about what my tools are, and your tools might be completely different, but when we exchange like this, well, I'm talking to you and I can read what you're saying. And hi, everybody. I'm so excited that you're here. And so with the tools, what are your tools, right? So we have the standard tools of like breath work, yoga, exercise class, movement, Pilates, all of those things. But then you want to look at what are your comfort tools, right? So when you're having pain, emotional pain or physical pain, what do you do for comfort? We can look at foods. There can be nutritious foods that are comfort foods, right? But we can also look at heat. I tend to gravitate towards water and heat. Water is such a healing element, and so you can find me in my baths bawling my eyes out much of the time because I know how healthy it is to move through that process and to flow with that emotion. So I engage that tool when I'm in a stuck place or an emotional imbalance because I know that tool works for me, right? And so we've got walks, taking walks outside, engaging your senses, right? So sensory activation. So we get so reliant on our speech, on our language, and just our vision. We have so many other senses, and when we engage those, we actually open up our hearts and our creativity, and we realize that we have healing. We have a multitude of healings and ways to heal, and that comes from the higher consciousness that we're activating. So we just don't have time to not practice anymore, y'all. That's what I have to say. There are so many big energies coming through for us, and it is our mission. It's our job at this point to utilize those energies and help them support us. And so you have to do the practice, okay? So the discipline and the practice are so important. There's value to honoring the dark and the quietude, and you know, when you really are going into that emotion, allow yourself to go, but don't become stuck there. We can easily become stuck in our pain. We can become stuck in the comfort of our pain even. And so that's when we just engage the tools, move the energy, even when we don't have the energy to do it. So you've got your breath work, podcasts. What a great free support system, right? Because when we have representation and when we can relate to another person's experience, we have aha moments. That elevates our own experience, right? And so that becomes a tool for us. I use my nightly podcast walks religiously, right? Because they help me stay in tune with nature, with the sync of the rhythm of what's happening in the world. I listen to my astrology podcast, but really find the ones that are your support group, that are your people, and they're going to elevate you in any dark or light, shadow or healing time. Workshops, reading, Libby app. Libby app is a free app that you can get any library card on in audiobook, okay? Let me tell you, driving from Portland to Iowa in 3 days, I listened to books nonstop for free on the Libby app. Such a great resource. Candle magic, cacao. I have cacao here. This is a ritual for me. I use this for intentions, the medicine, and even all of the hands that have worked to bring this medicine to my heart. It activates me in a way that I'm paying attention. I'm being in the moment, and I am in gratitude of what this brings me. I've got my garden sage, you know, this is something that I cultivated myself, and it clears the energy. Aromatherapy, it's amazing. It actually has scientific medicinal benefits, right, that have been scientifically proven. So even if you don't have the capacity to figure out what to do when you're feeling blocked, you have the tools that you can just turn on. You can push play. You can light the sage. You can clear the energy, right? So, having all the tools is important to know. Remembering what you go to gravitate when you're in a blocked energy space, and then be willing to move the energy. Do it like it's your job, right? It is your job because it's your job to get in alignment and higher consciousness now, so that we create a world and a new earth from a place of our hearts and love. All right, real quick, I want to talk about nutrition. And this is nutrition of the soul, nutrition of the cells. It's nutrition in every way possible. So how are you nourishing your body and your soul and your energy? Are you being plugged in to which grid, right? So are you plugged into the news and the sensationalism and the fear culture? I'm in no way telling you not to be informed, but I am telling you to be aware, to pay attention to how much of that vibration you're bringing into your energy field. It's very important that you unplug and you remember. What we're doing now is we are remembering all of the wisdom and divinity and infinite power and knowledge that we have within ourselves. Okay, so you need to have time away from the noise of the competition culture and the fear culture and the scarcity culture so that you can get really strong in that, so that when you do turn that noise on, there is a grid between you. It is not going to affect the strength of your spirit and your consciousness because of the fear that's being kind of thrown at you. Okay. Also, nutrition on a cellular level, on a biological level. Like, your biology needs certain things to thrive, and we cannot pretend like that's not true. So decrease inflammation in your body. Make sure you're getting the correct vitamins and nutrients to increase the detoxification pathways in your body, to nourish your cells with the bioavailable supplements that they need. Okay, some of you, I see, Christy, I know you're out there and you know how I feel about this. So you have to make sure, if you're taking supplements, they're the right ones. You have to make sure you're getting the bioavailable B12 into your cells, the vitamin D for your bones, for your health and your immunity. I'm not going to go very deeply into that, but that's something to seek out. You need to make sure that your cells are getting the proper nutrition and that you are paying attention to that, because that increases our vibration, our health, and our mental health. It is definitely a time to quit the sugar, to greatly decrease or quit the alcohol, right? We don't need anything that blocks the divinity in our cells anymore. Like, we need to have full light transmission coming into our cells, and we do that by cleaning up our diets. And quite honestly, we're gonna hear the messages more the more clear that we are. And so, altering that state of clarity can create a more difficult line of knowledge and power that way, right? And so just know what it is that you are consuming and how it works for you, and if it blocks anything coming in. Okay, let's talk about practice. So we got the tools, we talked about the nutrition, and what do you do with practice? So how are you practicing? Yeah, Christy, I hear that. So how are you practicing with these tools that you have, figured out over all this time, with the tools that work for you, that drop you into that higher state of consciousness? It's so important that we do the practice when we're feeling stuck, when we're feeling blocked. When we're in our highest alignment, the practice is easy. It's no big deal. But when we're feeling stuck, that's when we learn. That's when we feel what the practice does. And so what is that? Does it mean going into your flow, going into your natural rhythms, resting with the moon cycles, really honoring yourself in different ways, holding up your boundaries, doing all the tools that we just talked about, right? Even breath work, recalibrating your nervous system, increasing the energy and the blood flow and the chi movement in your body. What is it? So this morning, my neck was feeling stiff because of the entire day that I had yesterday. Hi, Candace. Candace, I had an interview with Brandon Watts this morning. It was lit. It was so amazing. I can't wait till you hear it. Okay, that was a PS. Okay. Okay, so with the practice, right? And so this morning, I could have I was supposed to get ready for the podcast interview that I had. No, my body, I listened to my body. It said, I need love, I need nourishment, I need nurturing right now. So I went over to the mat and I did some gentle yoga and I moved my energy. I did an earth breath, a grounding breath. And guess what? I know, girl. It changed everything. My neck has released. I feel flow. I feel light coming in. Today has been absolutely amazing. And it's because I made the decision to do the practice, even though I didn't have the time, even though I needed to be getting my outline together, all of the other things. No, this is what is so important, that we pay attention. We're no longer in a space of sacrificing ourselves for something outside of us that's not inside of us, right? So we need to honor what it is that is inside of us, because then everything that's outside of us comes into flow and alignment so much better. Then we come into our abundance. The relationships that are at our frequency come in. The money comes in from several streams. It's coming in from all over. We're not so focused. We're opening. We're expanding, right? We are bringing in what is calling to our souls. So there's value in honoring that shadow. There's value in the quietude. Y'all, I'm not like this all the time. I was thinking about that because, I'm very external and I'm very passionate, but this isn't me all the time. I know and I honor my natural rhythms, and I spend a great deal amount of time alone in the forest, in the land, in the air. And I am not just like pumping out all this energy. And that's why I can pump out this energy, because I honor my natural rhythm and know that I have to spend that time with myself. That's my practice. And if I don't do that, then this shifts. It doesn't come out at the energetic frequency that it's coming out at right now. So we just have to work on moving through the block in whatever way your soul is calling, right? There's no right or wrong way, but if you're doing something that's not honoring what your soul is calling, that's probably the wrong way. So, okay, there is a wrong way. But what we really want to do is be able to hear ourselves over the noise. We need to turn down that noise so we can truly hear ourselves and deepen our own practice. And when we do that practice in the times of blockages, that's when we learn, when we go into those times of open alignment, we learn how to stay in that open alignment in our human experience in a whole different way. So trying to think here. So I wrote some notes to talk about, and I'm going to give you a technique real quick. So when we're in fear or anxiety, these are the practices that I have been doing that literally yesterday, when that could have been a major tragedy at 60 miles per hour with a semi-accident happening. And the practices that I do that really shift everything for me in that moment is all about your light and emanating your light. So even if I'm not feeling in alignment, if I'm in a fearful place, I take myself into my breath, grounding into my breath. Always feel your shoulders drop. That's when our shoulders and our jaws are one of the first places to really tense up. So take yourself to your breath, ground in your breath, start to feel a healing light coming through, pouring into you. You feel that healing light pouring into your heart center and your heart space, right? Your heart chakra is filling with that light. And as you exhale, you're expanding that light out. Now, there's several ways to do this. For me, when I'm using a protection bubble, I'm expanding that light out, and I feel that protection light going around myself. It might be going around my baby Beezus if she's with me. If she's not with me, I hold her in that light when I start getting nervous about her, or I get the anxieties or the worry or the future tripping, right? So I'm worrying about her, but I'm holding her in this beautiful, bright, healing light. My anxiety completely releases. I've had this happen so many times. Yesterday, when I realized what could have happened in that accident, I took myself into my light. I was so grateful and so calm. And the only emotion I had was gratitude that I was here, and the message that I am here for a purpose, and I was just sent a message of why I'm here, right? And so I want you to literally do this. The next time that you feel fearful or anxious about something, whether it's a friend, a family member, somebody in your community, a situation, a relationship struggle, or karmic loop that you might be in, I literally, even if you don't feel like doing it, get the discipline and practice this and take yourself into your breath. Know that it's only going to take a few minutes. It's nothing out of your day. Take yourself into your breath. Bring that light in, activate your inner light, activate your healing, and expand that healing light out from you. Expand it around the situation, around the relationship, around the karma, around your vehicle, around your family, around your kid, like whatever it is. And keep that light going until you feel balance, until you feel centered, and you'll feel the calm wash over you. And guess what else? Here's the beauty of this technique. When you practice this technique, you're not only changing the frequency for yourself, you are changing the frequency for whoever you are sending light to. You are offering healing, you're offering light, you're offering healing to the karma, the relationship, the situation, the health, the wellness, whatever it is. We are how we change the world. The vibration we emanate is what emanates out into the world. I think we're all really understanding this now. I hope. This is what it feels like. It feels like we have this grand, like, energetic shift in the grid where we're all dropping in and like, wait a second. I am divine. I have the power here. Like, I have the sovereignty over my life, and I have all of the tools to create this space, right? I have the tools to drop into my higher consciousness, to bring that into my human experience. And that means that every time we go through something new or something old, we bring those tools. We have a new way of being in the world that shifts it and shifts the planet. It shifts our environment. It shifts our community. So we are in collaboration together all the time. Even when we're miles apart, we're collaborating, right? I want to talk about music, because talking to Candace here, Brandon Watts and I, who's the next podcast coming out, we talked about how music literally changes the world. It emanates a vibration that shifts people, places, things, everything, right? So that's another tool. Like, what are the tools? What kind of music are you listening to when you need it, right? Are you shifting the vibration of the music to move a vibration that you need for support? Okay. So, I don't know. I think the thing that I really wanted to say today was I wanted to talk about the healing light bubble to hold people in. I feel like that's one of the best practices that I have developed fully this year. And I have used it so many times, and it has changed my life so many times. You know, I mean, feeling a miracle yesterday, like feeling like I was in a protective bubble. I believe I've been creating that protective bubble for a while with my practice. And I have been through hard emotions this year. And I am the most grateful for this year. It has shifted everything for me in this human experience. So that's what I really want to do that for you. And that's why I'm going, you know, I'm a podcaster, but these Instagram lives are are a different story, because I'm not having, you're out there, but I can't hear you. And so you're not having this like this exchange that I'm used to. And so, but I'm going to do it. I'm doing it because I want to inspire you. I want to inspire you to look for paths and avenues of lighting up that higher consciousness, and look for ways to integrate it every day, even with the highs, the lows, we are in an ebb and flow always. We have emotion for a reason. It's not, we always are going to experience emotion, but we can even experience a joy in a sad emotion, right? Like I actually sometimes look forward to those baths where I bawl my eyes out, because I know how it feels to release. Right? We're releasing like generations of trauma from ourselves as we open up and move and shift, and whatever it is that calls to you to go into your deepest self or selves, if that resonates with you. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is choice theory, because I feel like this was something big. I heard Brene Brown talk about this years ago on a podcast. And when she talked about choice theory, this is kind of where I feel like I'm not going to be so gentle anymore, like I've been with my clients for 2 decades. And I'm not going to keep telling them like, oh, just like add in a few minutes a week. I'm like, go in. It is time. We have the support. I know, because I've felt it. I've gotten the messages. I know the kind of support that we all have to do this work. So for me, choice theory was a really big part of this. And a lot of parents use choice theory with their kids, right? So it's like, okay, so if you decide to move ahead with this behavior, this is where we're going to go. This is going to be how we react, or the shift in what we do because of that behavior. I'm not explaining this well, but you know what I'm talking about, right? And so it's like you give a choice, like we can stay here or we can leave. And if you decide to continue doing whatever you're doing, that's okay, but we're actually going to leave. We're not going to keep staying here and enjoying our time here. And I really loved that because it's like, it reminds me we all have a choice in our lives. We have a choice with every reaction that we have. We have a choice in observation over reaction, right? And that's a big one for ego. So really, like, what does it take for you to check your ego? And this is where I'm going to talk about, like, kind of putting yourself in a spiritual timeout. And this is something I'm working on pretty hardcore with 5 planets in Aries, right? So when we react, it's because we want someone to really understand our side, and we a lot of times want them to be on our side, right? And sometimes we do that at the detriment of the exchange, and we might not hear someone else's experience in the interaction. And so what's your choice theory? If you react, what are you going to do? Or is your choice theory, I'm gonna walk away from this and put myself in a spiritual timeout, check my ego, give myself the space to see what's under the emotion, allow the emotion to flow through and move through me, and see what's really at the heart of this issue. And a lot of times at the heart of the issue is fear, right? We have some fear about what's coming up for us or what's being reflected to us in an interaction. And so when you can actually take yourself out, give yourself that space, check your ego, and come back in a much bigger place of balance, then our relationships grow from this place of like true trust and unconditional love, right? Because it's usually we're having a reflection, and it usually comes back to something that we're fearful of for ourselves, and that creates a reaction out of us, right? So my choice theory is like, okay, like go through with this. Just make yourself spend some time here. Don't allow your ego to react. And so that's something that I'm working on. Anyway, I feel like I'm going pretty wide and casting a wide net around practicing higher consciousness. But I really wanted to just talk about making yourself do the breath work. When you're feeling stuck or blocked or anxious or fearful, dropping into your breath work, like making it like it's your job. You having the practice and discipline, because you are going to find a higher enlightenment the deeper you go with that in the shadow work. And I think our shadow work has really been showing itself this past year in a beautiful way. Y'all, I'm going to tell you, when I look back at 2020, I love it. I love 2020 because I think there was a much higher message to quarantine. And this might not be a popular opinion, but I think by all of us going home and spending so much time with ourselves and in quietude, it allowed us to turn the noise down, hopefully, and hear the messages and learn what works for us. Learn what practice techniques bring us into higher alignment, and to really spend some time with the shadow, with the emotion. What happens when life isn't just moving so fast you can't even create something new for yourself? What happens when you have some time and space to hear what's deeply inside of your soul? And the more that we all increase our sovereignty, and really the more that we stand in our truth and realize that we have all within us, the messages are here, the divinity is inside of us, then the more we are going to join together in the collective and raise the frequency of this planet and the energy grid of this planet, because we're no longer a herd following a leader. We are all leaders standing up together, bringing our soul's truth and our power and our mission that we came into these bodies for. It's go time. It's go time right now. So I think that all of this time at home led to that. I think it lent to that. Now, that being said, small business is my heart. I've been in small business, my whole life. And it's painful what is going on with small business. And I am holding that pain in my higher frequency and vibration of hoping that as we change this system, as we dismantle the power and the systems that have not been placed for good, as we create a more community-based system, my hope is that those small businesses get lifted with that creation and we figure out new inventive ways to still support our communities and truly support our communities and the health of our communities. So yeah, I just really excited to be here and alive, and excited to talk about this more. I hope it made sense today. I don't know if anybody's still out there. I've been talking a lot today. I did a podcast this morning, and so it's been a pretty big whirlwind day of spiritual talk. So I don't know. I think maybe there's only one or two people here. Christy, you still out there? Oh, down to one. All right. Well, I guess I'm just going to wrap it up then. I hope that, you... Oh, nice. Hi, Mackenzie. Hi, Mackenzie and Christy. Well, I hope that you got some value out of this talk. I hope that I was able to bring it together in a way that made it a little bit cohesive for you. And yeah, I don't know. I just really wanted to share and be here with you on this New Year's Day, but it's really just a day of life and celebration, quite honestly. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up. Oh, thank you so much, Christy. All right, so she said, I always learn so much and appreciate the reminders. I thank you for that. I like to hear that because then that does tell me that I am I'm making some sense. I love you too. I hope you're doing well. And thank you so much for being here and sticking with me through this whole talk. And I will see you on the airwaves. Peace and love.